And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Real Estate, hosted by yours truly, the Bearded Man of Real Estate. I'm Ray. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
And we have breaking news. Not really, but I just got the sounder, so I'm dying to play it. It feels like an actual news show. We are an actual news show because we have sound effects like that. So just imagine an actual newsroom.
196 previous episodes don't count. Now we have that sound. Now we're good.
Now we're actual news. So if you were with us yesterday, we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to dive into a little more details about the open door deal. We're talking about Equifax sending the wrong credit reports to people and their response. I mean, they need a new PR guy. Their response, what they said, you guys will not believe their response. And
by the way, the open door thing, if you didn't catch us live, I think it was Monday. We just discussed, I don't know what day it was, but I don't think you're going to believe where we pulled this article from. If you haven't heard this story and you haven't heard the article, you will not believe where we got the article from. It's insane.
Crazy times.
Yeah.
We're also going to be talking about Rex. They're in some hot water for wire fraud. So I'm curious to dive into that one. And then we got a bunch of economic news. So Lawrence Yun, he has a prediction about where we're headed. The Realtor Association has a good summary of kind of everything that happened. And so we'll be diving into that as well as the news that came out today. CNBC has several news releases that happened today over the last couple of days. So we're going to be diving into all that stuff. And there's we have something on remote online notarization. So keeping you informed in all ways.
I know that's a little one, but I want thoughts on that one because I have strong feelings about that one.
I cannot wait personally for all this stuff to happen. I feel like it's been forever and we're behind the times. But anyway, we'll get all there. We'll talk about it more.
By the way,
disagree on something finally?
I think we disagree.
Oh, good. We'll have to wait and see how Ray and Dan disagree.
How we nicely and very etiquettely argue with each other. By the way, if you guys can, I'm on. You can't tell.
You're not in your normal space. Location. Where are you right now?
I can't tell you. I'm in a remote, undisclosed location somewhere in the United States. But if you can figure out where that is,
okay,
then you're gonna know pretty much where I'm at. I'm close.
That looks like a non-colored version of my desktop screensaver from Apple.
Yeah, if you know where that is, if you've been there, you know exactly what that is.
It's a pencil drawing on the wall behind Dan.
Yeah.
So you're at a specific. Can you really not disclose, or are you just not disclosing?
I can't disclose.
Oh wow, wow, guys! All right, everybody, track his IP address. Where's he broadcasting from? Let's go. Figure it out. We also have a special announcement at the end of the show too. We have a couple of new things that are starting or started, and we want you to be sure you hit the subscribe button. We're on YouTube right now. If you're joining us on YouTube, you could comment. What does that beep? Is that me?
No.
What is that? Did you hear a beep?
I did.
Oh, that was me. So I have this cool little timer. Sorry, guys. I have this cool little timer that lays on the side. If it lays on the side, it starts to count down. And apparently 30 minutes ago, it fell on its side and it's been counting down into this very moment. So
is that for when your Jeep flips over?
No, this is actually a really handy thing. You know, when you're like, okay, I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes doing something. Well, it's got a little 5. You just go bloop, and then bam, the timer's on. So a lot of times we'll say things like, hey, I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes going through, or I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes going through some recent conversations with contacts and be sure to call them back and all that kind of stuff, right? And then we go on to our database and then we start looking through there. And then before you know it, we haven't made a call, but we make a couple of calls and then we look at the clock. Right. It's like, 15 minutes is up.
Yeah.
When you turn this on the side and you start to see a countdown timer for 15 minutes, like you're on it, like, oh my gosh, I don't have much time. I got to go. So this is it was a Kickstarter I backed. It was a little octagon. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? What's this? Hexagon?
Yeah.
So it's a little hexagon countdown timer. And if you put it up, it stops. And if you put it this way, it counts up. So I don't know. It's a cool little, so sorry, that was what the alarm was. Anyway, as I was saying, if you're joining us on YouTube, See, Melissa Marr commented, if you're joining us on YouTube, you can comment. We can display your comment and talk about you or your comment. Melissa Marr says, smoke alarm? No, that was just the countdown timer. Ellis Home Inspections. Patrick Ellis says, hello, gents. Hey, man, how's it going? And thank you guys so much for joining us there. If you're joining us on Facebook, you can also comment there, and then we can display your comment. If you're in Clubhouse, you could come up and speak. So we have a couple of people already joining us, and we will come to Clubhouse and get some opinions on some of the things that we are talking about today. So we really appreciate all of you being here. And Dan, before we get into this show, would you tell people what this thing is actually all about?
It is a sweet shirt. Yeah, that's his.
What is it?
It says that.
You got to describe it.
Okay, so for the listeners, it's first of all, it's a blue shirt, much like the blue shirts that we have, like a light blue, kind of fun pastel blue, and it says it's got Macho Man Randy Savage on it, and it says that feeling when we find a defect. Oh yeah. And then on the back, it's got there you go, Ellis Home Inspection. Exactly, yeah. Like he sent me a couple of these, and I wear them all the time. The other one's got a unicorn on it. It's pink. It's awesome.
I like those.
Literally the best shirts ever. But when Ray and I met here on the interwebs 5 years ago, it's been a long time. We've known each other a long time. I had an idea for the show, which was then called The Bearded Man of Real Estate, because I am in fact a bearded man of real estate. And when I met Ray, I noticed something very interesting about him.
What's that, bro?
He's never been on an island, not once.
Well, yeah, I have actually. So one of my favorite places in the world to go is Kauai.
Absolutely agree. It's the best place in the world.
It is amazing. So I think that's the only island I've ever been on, though. I spent 2 weeks on that island. And if you're on that island or thinking about going to that island, you should check out the Smith pig roast. Amazing. It's like a Hawaiian. It's the whole thing. It's a whole event. It's like a half-day event. You don't just go there and eat some pig. Like it's a half day where you see the whole thing. It's really, really cool.
And out of all of the Hawaiian islands, it is the best island. It's mellow. The speed limit around the entire island is literally 35 miles an hour. And every now and then it creeps up to 50. There's wild roosters and chickens everywhere. The climate is fantastic. It's 75 to 85. It'll rain randomly. It is the best place in the world that I've ever been. And I haven't been a lot of places, but I want to live there. So anyway, Tom Tezak can hopefully help me find
I know,
a place.
Man. He can help all of us move. I haven't seen him in a while. And somebody asked where Matt LaMarche was. Olivier said, where's Matt LaMarche? And just like that, he joins. So welcome, Matt.
Hawaii. And by the way, I mentioned an island because that behind me, I'll give you guys another hint. That's an island.
So you're on an island now?
I might be. I don't know. I can't disclose. I am in the United States, but there you go. That's all I can disclose. Anyway, I obviously noticed Ray's a beautifully bearded man, but I also noticed he loves giving value up front to not only his clients, but just to humans in general. So the show is about being more as an agent and also being more as a human.
Yeah, and that's the real reason we do this show is because we believe that part of giving back is knowing what in the world is going on so that you guys can make better, not observations, better consultations with your clients and helping them decide what to do sometimes with their largest investment in the world. So we love you and thank you for joining us. And with that, I'm ready to get into the headlines.
You got to play the music. I was waiting for the music.
Oh wait, yeah. All right. Now maybe we should make this our headline music. Here we go. Time to get into the headlines. No, wait. Got to do a different voice for that.
That's good. Time for today's headlines.
Yeah, I need to do like the news guy. I got to think of like the news. The news guy is a different.
Or is it like 10 seconds?
It's like 10 to 15 seconds of just that.
It's so good, and it's a jam, dude. It's like
it is a jam.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, hopefully it doesn't get a takedown notice, but I've licensed that music just for this show.
There we go.
Yeah, that's how cool we are. All right. So first up, I forgot to share my screen. We're going to talk more about this Open Door deal. If any of you in the audience or in Clubhouse have had experiences with Open Door, I want to know more. Like tell me more about it. How was it? What happened? Did your clients get took? you thought, or did they get a pretty good deal? It kind of went both ways. And when we broke the news story on Monday, we referenced that too, is that they're having to pay some fines, but yet there were several stories that we had heard in which Open Door paid an excessive amount for a property, way more than possibly they could have gotten on the market. But it was a very rare occasion. Most of the time they were coming in with a very low offer. And so that is why the FTC dropped the hammer on them. So we'll go to the Inman article first, then we'll switch it up and I'll show you exactly what the FTC said. But basically oh, hang on. I have to do our other, man, I've got so many buttons to push. 1 second.
Best transition game, people. You can't beat that.
Well, so the transition helps our people that help us with editing to find these breaks. So there you go. All right. So the FTC fines Open Door $62 million for allegedly tricking consumers.
Okay. What? Now, before you get into this, when we went live about this pretty much right when it happened on Monday, because we like to fix the news when it breaks, but I don't think we can fix this one, Ray. But
this is not fixable.
Now, when we went live, they didn't say anything about allegedly. Now all the articles say allegedly, because remember,
so there was in the FTC article, they did say that the FTC alleges. And that's why they're saying that this payoff is not an admission of guilt. So they did say that the FTC allege, but the federal regulators on Monday announced that they've slapped the iBuying giant Open Door with $62 million for allegedly cheating and tricking potential home sellers. The Federal Trade Commission announced the case and a settlement with the iBuyer in a statement. So we didn't even know this was happening at the time. And that's one of the things, like, I didn't know what was going on. I don't think anyone did, maybe just Open Door. But so they announced that there was a case and that there was a settlement at the same time, similar to what the DOJ did with NAR not too long ago, where they were like, here's the case and settlement all at the same time.
Yeah, there was no hint at this. There was no previous story about this. Like, what will the FTC act, or will they, lay down the law or drop the hammer? None of that. It just happened.
So the statement argues that Open Door pitched potential sellers using misleading and deceptive information. So the FTC is real big on making sure that there's truth in your advertising. And that's the main crux of the matter, is that they're saying that what they had advertised is different from what was happening. It suggested they would make more money by selling to the iBuyer than they would make on the open market. However, the statement adds most people who sold to Open Door made thousands of dollars less than they would have by selling their homes using the traditional processes. Now, this is one of my favorite.
I don't think the average consumer knows what an iBuyer is, right? Isn't that kind of an industry term?
Probably. I mean, I think they're becoming more familiar with it now. None of these iBuyers are in our market right now. So
yeah, we have them. And I've covered a couple on the show. I mean, they have one of them. I mean, they're just horrible to get into. It's the whole premise of the thing is supposed to be Open Door. You can have your own private showing, right? It's easy, but every time I've ever shown it, it's always been difficult. And this isn't allegedly, this happened. But there was one, and I hit it on the show. I think it was about a year and a half ago. They way overpaid for a house when it was during that craziness of the Rona, way overpaid. Yeah. It sat and sat and sat. And then they had to chase the market down until finally someone bought it. But I'm willing to bet they had to lose money on that one specifically.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from this article, Samuel Levine, director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection, he said, "There's nothing innovative about cheating consumers." Said Open Door promised to revolutionize the real estate market, but built its business on using old-fashioned deception.
It's so like there's no question. And remember, that's from the FTC themselves. That's not a journalist or someone being sensationalist. That's the FTC.
So the Open Door settled the case. What they had to do was, quote, "stop deceiving potential home sellers and stop making baseless claims." I felt like that was appropriate there. So not only did they have to pay $62 million, but it also orders them to stop deceiving potential home sellers and stop making baseless claims.
So a couple questions. So could they have gone to court with this and said, like, no, we didn't do that?
I guess you go to FTC court. So they could have refused to settle, and then it would be a lot more of this. I mean, this is probably the best deal for them.
Best deal for them.
Can you imagine the news cycle that would happen like every week? Here's an update on the Open Door settlement. Sorry.
Yeah, we'd be going live like 4 times a week. But like, so they say Open Door's response says this isn't an admission of guilt. We did, and it's also, by the way, you guys need to understand they're talking about business practices from 2017 and 19 is what they say, right? They don't do that anymore. We did, and now something just occurred to me as well, because they were overpaying for homes just like every other iBuyer in 2020 and 21. So technically, but so is everyone else. But so you got to remember, so they say, no, we stopped that stuff a long time ago. But in my opinion, this is an admission of guilt. Remember, this is my opinion. This isn't an admission of guilt, because if they were like, dude, we never did anything like that. What are you even talking about? We're going to trial. We're going to fight this tooth and nail. But they're like, yeah, we did that. Here's 62 million. That's cool.
Well, and what they said is we did that a long time ago. So the company's statement added that the FTC's allegations have to do with, quote, activity that occurred between 2017 and 2019 and target marketing messages the company modified years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know I actually quoted them, but I did.
We've changed since then. By the way, if you want to read Dusty's comments, she mentions the billboards.
Yeah. So Dusty Martin, our AZ agent, she said, I know that there were some questionable billboards in my market a few years back. It was the talk and discussion of several agent forums in my state. Ethics violations and false adverts were totally discussed. And I have found in my market, homes have crazy high days on market and are usually way overpriced and difficult to show buyers. Yeah.
And difficult to show buyers. That's been
now. They're not realtors though, so the ethics violation would be meaningless, right? Open Door is not a realtor. They're not a member of the Realtors Association.
Are they a brokerage?
I don't think so. Open Door a brokerage? I don't think they are. Open Door works with agents every day to provide more options. Blah blah blah. Our brokerages,
I think they are a brokerage in a lot of different locations, and they're members of the board. They're members of NAR, and they're members of a lot of.
Yeah. So I wonder if there may be more coming from this, because it said our brokerage has paid more than $50 million in commissions and referral fees. Blah blah blah. So they do have brokerages. Interesting. I didn't know that they were part of that. Well, they're not in our market at all, so I'm a little bit ignorant of some of their practices other than what I read in the news.
Don't I have standards that I have to go with? I can't say Ray can't get you top dollar, but I can, because I'm going to charge you less and then end up charging people more. I can't directly call you out. So
I feel like now that this has been a proven deal, I feel like you could easily go against them for ethics violations.
Do you think this opened a door? Give me a sound.
This may have opened the door to additional ethics lawsuits. Dusty said in AZ they forced them to be a brokerage to get MLS access. Okay. So they are a brokerage. And in which case, if they are a member of the National Association of Realtors, that seems like talking about another business model. I think that's as vague as the NAR says. Then that would be a violation. But in that case, us talking about a business model could also be a violation, because that's how vague that rule is, even though we're a news show.
On Clubhouse, Armando, aka Armando, what kind of show is this? Espinoza Jr.
That's right.
What kind of show is this?
He says they're big in Houston, and that seems on point, because they test a lot of things in Houston and Arizona.
Armando, you're up. Do you have your mic on? Can you talk?
Howdy, yeah, I can talk.
Hey, buddy. Do you run into them very often there?
They're more in the suburbs, kind of 20 miles outside of Houston, or still in Houston, but outside the loop, both loops. And the one I saw were my parents' neighborhood, and then I'm gonna say a testament to my last call. I sold a property which lies in the Conroe area, which is outside the city, within the area. She got deceptive, and Open Door offered her, over, crazy offered, and she, thought, oh, well, let's check it out. And she clicked on the offer button, and she was locked in a contract.
Whoa.
And,
that's interesting. That's not the first time we've heard about something like this.
I was working with her, and she found me, and she was, kind of really worried, but they ended up terminating the contract and, during the option period, and
wow,
got the listing, sold it. So, yeah.
Probably for way more than what she was getting, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They came back with all these repair requests, and I was able to sell her with no option period and no repair request.
And that's one of the things that we were talking about too, is how the deal changed. It looks like a great deal on paper, and then once they get you under contract, they start changing this and saying, well, we need this for repairs, we need this and that. But that's really interesting. This is not the first time we've heard of that type of practice. Dan, do you remember the other situation in which you would call and inquire about something, and then they would completely put you under contract in that?
Whether you wanted to or not. I think we made a commercial about it.
We did make a commercial about that. I'm going to release that commercial tomorrow on my Instagram again.
Please. Yes, that's a good idea. Have you been foreburned?
If you haven't seen the foreburned, it's FORBURNED. Just Google it on the YouTubes. But that's the same exact thing that was happening when people were calling to say, hey, I'm just checking. What is this forbearance thing and how does it work? And then they're like, oh, here's how it works. And then the next time you would call and check, you were put on forbearance.
They set a button. Oh, this dude called forbearance.
Yeah, he called. Let's stick it on there for him. So, well, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing, Armando. Does anyone else want to comment on there? We've got a couple of comments I could bring up here, but does anyone else, have you run into them? Do you want to comment on what's going on? Have you had some clients that experienced this? Do you know of a situation in which someone could have sold for way more, but they settled for the open door pricing? Eric says, per RS Media today, they were now venturing into pocket listings as their new venture to not fully market their listings to all qualified buyers and agents with qualified buyers.
Slippery
Yikes. Well, in that, the PLS, the pocket listing system, the pocket listing service or whatever it is, it launched and then kind of went away because it couldn't overcome the NAR and the rules and regulations and all that stuff about the coming soon that we had.
Yeah.
So this, if Open Door is still a member of NAR, then this would be something that they would have to overcome as well, I think.
Yeah, and Matt says he took Open Door to the cleaners with his buyers.
Matt, sorry, what does this mean, Matt LaMarche?
Well, okay, so this isn't going to help anyone's argument for why they shouldn't choose this service. But they actually do operate as a brokerage here in Atlanta. But in this deal that I did, there was another local agent that was actually representing the sale or the listing, I guess. And in July of last year, they listed a home for $531,000. And they bought a house for $531,000. And then immediately, like within a month, put it back on the market for $561,000, so an increase of about $30,000. It sat on the market for about 5 or 6 months before we got involved with it, and eventually purchased it in January of this year for $535,000. But they had done about $25,000 worth of work to the house because it was pretty original, let's say.
Oh man!
But then they also contributed $7,000 towards our closing costs as a buyer. So, and that doesn't even include commissions.
So what was their net profit on that?
Exactly. Well, I mean, and again, me as a seller, if I see, okay, my house sells in July for $531,000 and literally a month later it goes on $561,000, it's like, well, did they do anything to it? Did they just put it back on the market at that point? Like, that's where I think a lot of consumers probably went, something's not quite right here.
Well, I wonder what's next for them. I mean, they're one of the few iBuying companies that actually turned a profit. You remember that? Like we were looking at all of them, and hardly any of them made a profit. Zillow did not.
Right.
But I think Open Door was one of the few that did show a profit.
It's got to be different now because there's tons of these stories.
Yeah, well, and the market's turning too. So in just a couple of months, if they had bought properties at the height, outbidding other players, and now it's turned, what does that leave them? How many properties are they currently holding? We'll see if we can crunch some numbers on that. Dusty says, yeah, I don't see that happening in AZ. They'd have to give up MLS access. Do you mean to do the pocket listing thing? They would have to give it up? She goes on to say, I've had buyers literally get stuck living in a hotel for a month because squatters moved in during escrow because they didn't secure the property from open access to the public after it went pending. Good grief. In the words of Charlie Brown. All right.
Ooh.
What's up, Eric? I saw you come up. Did you have something that you wanted to say about Open Door specifically?
Just a couple of quick nuggets. In Austin, they have Open Door exclusives, and I kind of stumbled onto this driving around looking at some properties and seeing some signs with arrows that said Open Door exclusive, and you'd go pull up the Open Door website and it would be there, but it wouldn't be anywhere else. And ran that upstream a little bit. We have our broker was former past president, and so the Open Door exclusives, and because they own them, are treated like for sale by owners. And so it's a for sale by owner. So they don't necessarily have to follow the same rules, even though they are a broker with NAR, TAR, and Austin Board of Realtors. They still own it now. So that's a little loophole, and they'll let that sit there for whatever their prescribed amount of time is, and then they'll put it on the market and start, just like everything. I mean, they're huge in Austin, and they account for probably 70%. Every day we have these anecdotes where people are posting in Austin about, there are 432 price drops. And if you chew into it a little bit, probably 70% of them are OfferPad, Orchard.
Oh no.
Open Door. So, and then one other quick nugget, and this kind of goes back to some of the hand slaps they're getting. North Carolina suspended their license, I think in March or April for like 18 months. And there's a story in Inman about that. So for misrepresentation. So just a couple of quick nuggets, but this is your buddy Eric Meister out of Austin, Texas, and I appreciate y'all doing this.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining. So basically the misrepresentation of the deal they were getting, like the false advertising, or misrepresentation as in they didn't represent their client appropriately through a transaction.
They were misrepresenting what the home was when they were selling it. And there were a couple of, and I think in North Carolina, there were either 3 or 4 specific complaints that were brought to the board that they were, I'm going to use the word convicted of, that ended up in this 18 months suspension. And it was all stuff like when you read as a broker or agent, you're like, yeah, you can't say that stuff. And so, they buy a house, do something kind of a quick fix, don't really know anything about the house, make a lot of representation, put it back on the market, and somebody buys it. And then after the fact, so that kind of thing. But again, they're just kind of operating fast and loose under their business model and not necessarily following the rules that we have to follow.
It's a bad policy, man. Fast and loose.
I see that kind of thing where it says completely renovated, and it's like got wire and tubing.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Wait a minute.
There's a bunch of those comments on Clubhouse, and Savannah Hawkins, who I believe is in Vegas. She says they lied on the real property disclosure in one of her transactions last year.
Oh no.
Yeah, so fast and loose is rough. And then Jesse Mao, I don't know where he is. He is a real estate agent, but I think, he says in Houston, Open Door's rehab quality is a joke. In Houston, I have seen many houses sitting on the market for a long time. Yeah. Hey, is Scap still here? He had 3 comments. Does he want to?
Yeah, Scap did have some comments the other day when we were going live about it. He was like, so much to say. Scap, are you on? You may be measuring a home.
Of course I am. Come on now.
Well, we didn't know if you were doing your appraisal thing and trying to blow up deals or what you were up to today.
No, actually, I did a couple jobs. Now I'm on my way to go play some golf.
With Matt Miller.
But yeah, man, Open Door, I tell you, as an appraiser, just the crap that you see in their listings, you really got to dig deep into those, because they just, especially if there's no previous listing out there, if they're buying it from somebody that just goes online and submits and gets the offer, then they turn around and put it back on the market. There's nothing to go previously back to see what they've done to this house. And you see it time and time again when they say that they've updated the house, and you look at the photos, you go, yeah, no. Then you go out to the house to appraise it, and you're like, what the hell did they actually do here except change some paint? And, they really didn't do anything to it. And it's annoying. So then the worst part is when you actually try to call the listing agent at Open Door or try to call them, they just lie through their teeth. Yeah, they just continue to try. Oh, we did all this, and it's like, not even close, my friend.
That's really interesting. Is that a real estate agent that's on the other side of that phone line, or is it someone that works for Open Door?
It has to be an agent.
Well,
it's an agent that's working with Open Door, and it's annoying.
So
I really try hard when I'm looking to do an appraisal, and you see an Open Door listing out there, or you see one that's actually sold. You really got to dig deep into it and try. And I try if I can to avoid it if possible.
Yeah.
Because you just know it's just not what's the standard out there as opposed to an actual agent. So you kind of have to really sift through it. The other thing with Open Door that I've noticed is how they like Matt said, they're just constantly just throwing stuff out there and just listing it really high. They buy, they use their algorithm to buy it low, buy low and not for market value, and then just kind of turn around, throw it out there.
Yeah.
They're terrible. In my opinion, they're terrible.
And SCAP is not represented from the National Association of Realtors, so he can share whatever he wants about Open Door. So thanks, SCAP.
And by the way, I think, by the way, we got to move on. We got a lot of their stuff, but if you're a consumer watching the show right now, I know we have a lot of industry professionals, but if you're a consumer watching this, these are actual stories from appraisers, agents, lenders, and all this stuff that they have actual encounters with Open Door. This isn't all hyperbole. This is actual encounters that we've all encountered. But I've hit it on the show a bunch of times where I say, dude, they'll list it and then they just kind of let it sit. In markets where homes don't really sit, either during the pandemic, the Rona, or before, homes don't really sit in certain markets. If they're priced right, they'd go here we're in my markets that I work.
Yeah.
But they would still just sit. And it seems like they have a formula, like, all right, list it at whatever price, doesn't matter. And then drop it 7%, and then 7%, and then 7%. And you can just literally watch them drop until they get back to, and for a while,
it's just a numbers game.
Because of the Rona, they were getting, they were able to buy for things a little bit more and then get those prices. But that model can't last. There's no more, frenzy.
Hey, one last thing, just a quick story with this is that, I was contacted by a guy to come out and do an appraisal on his house. And, he brought up all the great iBuyers out there, Zillow, Open Door, this, that. And he says, yeah, Open Door made me an offer on the property. And I said, well, I don't want to know what that offer is. Let me just do the job for you and go out there. And I actually appraised this house for about $35,000 more than what they actually, somewhere around $35,000 more than what they actually offered him. And he was just so happy about that. And it ended up selling when he put it on the market about a month later. I think it was on the market for like maybe 3 days, and he got pretty much full ask price for it. So yeah, you get to see those kind of things out there.
That's interesting. Well, I just know from the comparative market analyses that I've seen other agents, whenever they compared pricing models and all that kind of stuff, they would bring the Open Door offer to their client and say, well, here's the comparative market analysis. And then here's what Open Door says they would offer you. Let's hit the market and see. And given the market was so nuts at the time, which it's not now, but at the time people were like, it was going crazy. Like all these, they were going way over that. So I think you're right. Mike, he's joining us. Man, I love that donut avatar, Mike. He said there was a rumor that Cloud CMA would share data with Open Door when you create CMAs. I have no proof, but that was a rumor.
Dude. That's called collusion.
Yeah, but if it's in their EULA, their end user licensing agreement that you all click through real quick and was like, I just want to use this thing. Well, let's talk about another way that some data gets breached. Home buyers are suing Rex, R-E-X, after losing $140K in a wire fraud scam. So this is interesting in that I want to ask the question, did Rex do anything wrong or not here? So let's check it out. Our immediate answer is yes, but let's check it out. The complaint alleges negligence and breach of fiduciary duty after an unknown third party impersonated the brokerage's title company and sent buyers fraudulent wiring instructions. Now, you guys and I know both that we've seen every title company putting out in their signature this like 3-page paragraph of wire fraud instructions and all this other stuff. So,
and escrow, all of our escrow companies say the same thing. Wire fraud is real. Do not click suspicious links. And every single escrow officer or employee always has that at the end of their email for us here in California.
And we also know that no clients read it. And we also know how hard would it be for a frauder. Like, okay, think about this. You're a frauder, okay? You're going to draft an email to a client. You're going to be like, okay, I'm going to do this email. Oh, man, this title company has something in there down below that's a disclosure about wire fraud. It's impossible for me to take this title company on. No, you would just copy and paste the same disclosure to the bottom. That's exactly what you would do.
And then put your suspicious link in there and say, no, that one's not suspicious. I meant any other.
Suspicious. No one else would send you this, but we are going to send you
this link is fine. Other one. Yeah.
All right. So Inman goes on to say, there may be similar lawsuits coming about wire fraud as it's more common, but they're suing the discount brokerage Rex Real Estate after they lost more than $140,000 to a scammer impersonating their title company. According to a July 28th complaint, this is very recent, Harold Michael Carter and Carolyn Carter agreed to purchase a property in March for $635,000. Rex was supposed to be the listing broker for the property. The complaint alleges that Rex required the Carters to use wholly owned subsidiary Ironcrest National Title Agency as a closing agent for the transaction. All right, so that's kind of a key moment here. Okay, so we've all been told that it's all kinds of violations and RESPA violations and third parties use someone at arm's length, whatever. Tell people like, here's a couple of title companies that my clients have had great experiences with. Feel free to use anyone you want, but here's some people that you can call if you need someone. Right. Well, what this complaint is alleging is that Rex said, you have to use this title company. And because you have to use this title company, and then that was the company that they were impersonated, now you owe us this money because you're the one that said we had to use them. So before the March 10th closing date, the Carters received communication, quote unquote, purportedly from Ironcrest with wiring instructions, $140,000. Quote, in reality, the communication was sent from an unknown third party that had acquired all the information relating to the closing and the transaction. So they basically sent the money in.
How do you blame Rex though? Like, and I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit. How do you blame them? Because they said use our title company.
The only, in my opinion, and I'm not an attorney, I just look like one.
Yeah.
And the only way that Rex in this case is at fault is because they said you have to use our title company. You have to use this title company.
But okay, so title and escrow are seller choices here. So a lot of times in our RPA, residential purchase agreement, it just says seller's choice, like for who's your choice for title. When you're writing your offer, then you can write in there, I want my title company, and you can write, I want my escrow company. But then it's a contract, so you can counter that. But it's a seller choice. Services are always seller's choice here. So did they make them use it? And I think Rex is, aren't they Texas too?
Well, so so in this case, it may be that they also own the title company, but I would say by forcing your clients to use a title company that you own, and this, is relevant as many real estate agents are starting to do the more horizontal integration, buying up title companies and loans and stuff like that. Whenever you as a real estate agent say, we'd prefer that you use our title company, it's just dangerous. So I think you need to disclose that you own it. But in this complaint, Rex forced them to use their title company, and they own that title company.
I really want to know what forced means, because if they just countered and said, no, we want our title company, they accepted the offer, that's not forcing. That's just negotiation. So,
well, you've been in those situations, especially with foreclosures, where they said, hey, we're only going to pay your closing costs if you use this title company. I used to have a builder around here that would say, we're only going to pay, we'll pay up to 2% of your closing costs, and we'll only do it if you use our lender.
Yeah. And that's forcing. But now what was the verbiage from Rex? Did Rex say, no, you have to, you can't have this house? Or did they say, here's the contract, you accept it or not, and we'll go with a different buyer, whatever? I would really like.
Let me see if I can find let me see if Rex has
is this that says forced. Is that just the buyers feel forced?
Yeah, I mean that's what they said.
Because
defendant, let's see, Ironcrest and Rex are owned. Ironcrest and Rex owed the Carters a duty to maintain all information relating to transactions secure. They didn't. A third party got it. All right.
So that was my next question. Are they mad? Are they upset?
Yeah.
I'm not saying mad. That sounds
for unauthorized access to its electronic data.
Right. That sounds like
they didn't utilize appropriate steps.
Right. That's where I was going to go next. Is it because they got hacked essentially, and then yeah.
So basically, I guess you could say the lawsuit is because the third party acquired data relating to the transaction, not necessarily that they were impersonated, not necessarily that they were related, but that number one, the buyers were forced to use this title company, they say. And number two, Rex / Ironcrest allowed a third party to get this information. So they are at fault because the transaction information is what convinced them to give them $140,000.
That's it. I mean, I just want to know way more details about it. I think it's a little cloudy, a little muddy, but I don't want to just immediately say that Rex is guilty here. I don't know if
that's kind of why I brought it up like that.
Yeah.
Are they actually at fault? They could be actually at fault because they owned the title company that allowed someone else to get their data. But on the real estate agent side, are they at fault? Well, if they wouldn't have said you're forced to use this title company, they'd probably be at less fault.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works legally. Wire fraud scammers target 1 in 3 real estate transactions, according to the 2021 American Land Title Association survey. Wow.
Look how the article ends.
Which each transaction? I see that. Yeah, the very last line says Rex did not respond to a request for comment.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
They could have said, we do not comment about ongoing investigations. So that'd be a lie because they commented about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, they have a lot going on because they're the ones trying to take on. Remember, they're the ones trying to take on Zillow and mad about that. But now Zillow stopped iBuying. It's a whole. Yeah. I don't know how well things are going for Rex.
Right. So allowing a company to get access to your third-party data is one thing. But sending someone completely incorrect data, I think this is something completely different. Ladies and gents, Equifax is in the news. And I feel like was it them or someone else that was in the news recently for something very similar? Equifax provided inaccurate credit scores on millions of U.S. consumers seeking loans during a 3-week period earlier this year, according to the bank executives and others with familiar with the errors. Equifax sent erroneous scores to people applying for auto loans, mortgages, and credit loans. The inaccurate scores were sent from mid-March to early April. The company began disclosing the errors to lenders in May. I think maybe that's when we first talked about it or heard about it. It was a coding issue, they said. It was a glitch. We've determined that there was no shift in the vast majority of scores during the 3-week time frame of the issue. For those consumers that did experience a score shift, initial analysis indicates that it's only a small number of them may have received a different credit decision, quote unquote.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, they all got denied for loans and got blacklisted, but that's fine. It's okay. Yeah. It's just a small number. Who cares?
So let me read to you what Mr. Breger said. Who's Breger? Bregor. This is what? All right. He's Mark Begor, Begor. Mark Begor, Equifax chief executive. He's a Is that chief executive? It doesn't say chief operating. It's CE. He publicly acknowledged the flub. And then he said this. The impact is going to be quite small, not something that's meaningful to Equifax.
Oh, no way.
Bro, that's what he said.
That's like getting in a car wreck and then going, it's not that big of an accident and my car's not damaged much. I know I broke all their legs and arms, but my car's not damaged. So
it's not that big of a deal. My car will be fine.
Oh.
Now,
bad.
In context, he wasn't talking to the general public. In context, this was at an investor conference in June. He said a coding issue that affected legacy applications resulted from some scores going out with incorrect data. And then he continued and said, the impact is quite small, not something meaningful to Equifax. I would have probably phrased that different.
It's
not a great phrasing.
He's a C-level of executive, right? People are going to listen. The quotes are going to get out to other media sources, not just.
Yeah. That quote will go somewhere else, bro.
I mean, I don't care if it's one person that got affected. That one person is pretty important, especially if their entire.
Not real meaningful to Equifax, though.
Dude, these corporate level or these C-level, C-level executive quotes are just the best, man.
Oh, man.
We've been thinking about it, and it's really not that big of a deal for us, so we're good.
Yeah. This may have affected someone from buying their first home. It could perhaps have made someone who was trying to buy a car to get to work, to not buy the car, to not get to work.
And then to work to buy the home, but we're fine.
We're fine. It's not something that's significant to Equifax.
Right. We're relatively unscathed in this, so we're going to move on from it.
We've already moved on, actually.
Yeah, we're good, dude.
So these shining examples were the ones that influenced, inspired our thumbnail.
Yeah.
Which was also, thank you so much to the Be More contributors, because I was running late. I was actually trying to craft a deal, and I got a deal under contract at the wee hour here. But because I was kind of running with my chicken cut off. Wait, what? Anyway, because because I was running around, I was like, hey guys, this is kind of what I need. And they were like, oh, you should use this, because we were talking about Open Door. We were talking about these 3 shining examples of what not to do. And this is what they brought us. The shining examples. All right. So if you're not familiar with the movie The Shining, there's a scene where it's Jack Nicklaus, right? He says, here's Johnny.
Nicholson.
And he's Nicholson. Yeah. He's got a axe that goes through the door. I am him. And Dan is the lady with the knife.
It's raised like happy, everything's awesome face, and then me going, ooh.
Yeah. Oh, we've got to get more of these little headshots, but it was a fun one. So thanks to the Be More contributors for that. And that's what influenced these first 3 stories influenced that.
We took a bunch of headshots for these things, but we've run through them enough now. We got to do.
Yeah, we got to do more. All right. So let me see what the comments are. Oh, Matt Lamar says,
what kind of show is this?
Here you go, Matt.
So good.
So Melissa Marr said buyers rates went up and they didn't qualify anymore. Equifax, whoops, not our problem. Yeah, pretty much.
We're fine. I know interest rates went up, and I know that your credit score was very important and probably the reason you didn't get approved, but we're good. So
it will not be a problem that's significant to us. It's for other people. That's a problem. All right. So let's dive into some economic data. Oh, I'm going to use a different. Hang on. Time for the economic report, brought to you by Ray and Dan, the bearded man of real estate. It's pretty good on the timing. That was just off the cuff right there. That wasn't bad.
I know Matt's chopping up the show again. He needs to cut that one. That was good.
Yeah.
So 49 minutes on the nose.
On the nose. Good. All right, so let's talk about mortgage rates. They fell sharply after a negative GDP report that we talked about a little bit last week.
Wait.
Yep.
Hold on. So the Fed announced a month ago a 0.75 increase, right?
Yes.
And then just last week they announced during our show another 0.75 increase. That's a 1.5. How did interest rates go down, Ray?
Well, Dan, let me explain to you how the Fed works. No, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna do it. You should Google that. I already did a video about that. But in short, I know our lender friends out there would love it if I would clarify that increasing the rate 0.75 does not mean the rate goes from 6 to 6.75.
Right.
So I'm gonna throw that out to y'all. That's some love to our lender side who's watching the show. We get it.
After our show, we understand. We just like to be sensationalistic here on the show.
Yes, you got to be sensational to get the clicks.
After our show last week, I immediately called my main lender, my friend, my buddy, Tim Manfro, and he's like, "No, dude, we already cooked that in. We're good. We were already ready for that.
Already baked," which we covered on the show last week too.
Yeah, and he was like, "And now they went down." He was like, "All right, cool, thanks, man."
Yeah, exactly. They went down even after the increase. They went down. Just one day after the Federal Reserve raised its benchmark rate, mortgage rates took a sharp turn lower. The average rate on the popular 30-year fix fell to 5.22 on Thursday from 5.54. Yay. Oh, wait. There you go. So again, this article is it's got Mark Caldwell's sign, who's with Compass. I'm telling you, I'm gonna send my signs in.
Careful though, they're going to use it for a wrong article.
Well, I'm so tempted because this is a fine article to use it on, and Mark is getting all kinds of love from it, I'm sure. The drop Thursday came on the heels of the Bureau of Economic Analysis gross domestic product report, which showed the U.S. economy contracted for the second straight quarter. Now, a lot of people will call 2 straight contractions a recession. And by a lot of people, what I mean are economists. If you have 2 straight quarters of back-to-back drops in the GDP, that's called a recession. But the talking points currently out are that it's not really a recession. So, and that's what they say here in the article too. This is so stupid how they're couching this. It's so stupid. This is called a recession. We are in a recession. Period. Okay. It's the definition, literal definition of a recession. That is wildly accepted signal of a recession. Stop it. Just stop it. This is an exceptionally fast drop, wrote Matthew Graham. He's the COO of Mortgage News Daily. Perhaps even more interesting and uncommon is the fact that mortgage rates have dropped faster than the U.S. Treasury yields. It's typically the other way around, and investors flock to the first and most basic risk-free bonds.
It's just like they're like they've covered this data before, unless they've only been in the business for 2 or 3 years. But how are they getting quoted if they've only been doing it that long? But they've
been there a while.
I mean, this is a recession and everything's horrible, but interest rates dropped. I don't get it.
I mean, it's not really that horrible, but yes, I see what you're saying. It's supposed to be, without getting too political, if there was a different administration, we would see hellfire and brimstone right now.
And whether you think that's true or not, we can go back to shows from 2 years ago and show you exact same articles, different headlines.
Totally different headlines, totally different feel with similar things happening. Yes. The housing market seems to be settling into equilibrium. And now that as demand has leveled off, that's Redfin's chief economist, Daryl Fairweather. We may still be in gaslighting. we may still be in for some surprises when it came to inflation and rate hikes from the Fed. But for now, an ease in mortgage rates has brought some relief to buyers who were reeling from last month's rate spike. All right, so the way the job market is, it would be a unique recession. What do you mean? What do you mean by that, Olivia? Because the job market's pretty good right now? I was just going to say expect jobs to start falling, because that's what happens when the Fed starts to tighten the constraints on money. That means less money is going out to businesses and small businesses to invest and expand their companies. And when less money is going out to expand a company, that means hiring starts to slow down, and even some firings start to pick up. And as that happens, there will be more jobless claims on the way. Whether it's covered or not in the news, well, is a totally different story. But Am I getting cynical? No, I've been this way for a long time. The Realtor magazine also has a couple of words on this. We can go to them. Same article, so we won't do a transition. Same topic, but basically the dip in mortgage rates has little consolidation to squeezed buyers. So they have a slightly different take on it, saying that the buyers are still kind of squeezed right now, while the other article said that it was some consolation. Uh-oh, I'm hearing some feedback. Oh, Olivier, you're unmuted. Well, I'm hearing some on the other article. They're talking about, well, there's going to be some relief. In this article, it's saying, well, there may be a little bit of relief, but they're still squeezed pretty hard right now. So just a different perspective, looking at the same data. One is your National Association of Realtors and the other is CNBC.
Yeah, and then I found one. We don't need to cover it. I just wanted to bring it up so people can go look it up if you want. It's Fortune magazine. So it's fortune.com. And it's titled, the housing market correction takes an unexpected turn. And then they go through the article and you're like, that's all good stuff. That's not an unexpected turn.
Yeah, it makes it sound terrible.
Makes it sound terrible, but it does. The data in there and the articles, it starts off with the Federal Reserve has a simple inflation fighting playbook. That's hard to say, by the way. Simple inflation fighting playbook. It goes like this: keep applying upward pressure on interest rates until business and consumer spending across the company weakens and inflation recedes. Like that's
pretty much exactly what everyone does. Like
it's a simplified way of stating it. You know, if you want to see a really good video on it, go to Ray's Instagram. There's YouTube. A plug for my buddy,
YouTube,
but it simplifies it, but it's not a bad article. It's got a little clickbaity headline, but it goes through historically speaking over the last week. The interest rates have declined fast. As of Tuesday, they're down to 5.05%. I mean, it feels like, because with all the scary 0.75 for interest rates to be back there. And by the way, on a 15-year fixed, you can get under 5% right now.
Yeah.
With all the scary stuff going on, it feels like, in my opinion, I'm not an economist. I'm not even anywhere near it, but it feels like they're really balancing this inflation pretty well and trying to combat it fairly well, in my opinion.
They're just a little late to the party. If they would have done this, if they would have made these moves earlier, we'd all be in a better place today. Yeah, but they were definitely late to the party. Remember last week they misread the numbers and they admitted it. And remember,
administrations and there's a lot of that going on too.
All right, so let's talk about some home prices. Home prices cooled at a record pace. All right, so if you're just reading that, you're thinking, wow, home prices went down, right? Home prices cool at a record pace equals home prices decreased, right? That's what it sounds like. Hot home prices are high, home prices cool and went lower. Well, let's get into the meat of the article. Hey, there's Linda Lamb. Linda Lamb has her sign right there on CNBC's website.
I just love that.
Rising mortgage rates and inflation in a wider economy caused housing demand to drop sharply in June, forcing home prices to cool down. Home prices are still higher than they were a year ago. Oh my gosh. What the? All right, but the gains slowed. It's the gains. The gains slowed its fastest pace on record in June, according to the Black Knight mortgage software data and analytics firm that's been tracking the metrics since the 1970s.
Wait, can I simplify?
Yeah.
So if you've owned a house, if you bought a house in December of 2019, since then you've probably made about 34%, and you're not going to make that much in a year or 2 years anymore, but you're still going to make money just at a slower pace. That's what that says, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to simplify it and not scare people, or you can sensationalize it and say that the annual rate of appreciation fell 2 percentage points. Whoa. If you recall, annual appreciation used to be 3 to 6%, and it dropped 2 percentage points from 19.3% to 17.3%.
I was going to say almost 20%, right? Where did they get historical? I don't understand.
I don't know. Price gains are still strong because of an imbalance of supply and demand. So it's not until you get halfway through the article that you you hear about all that stuff. But if you're just looking at the headlines are saying home price is cool. So now you guys know behind the scenes, it's not exactly.
We're fixing the breaking news. We're fixing it.
Hang on. Stay tuned to the This Week in Real Estate podcast hosted by the Bearded Men of Real Estate. When news breaks, we fix it.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Make another
off the cuff.
Step.
These are all off the cuff, you know.
59 minutes and 45 seconds. That's another good one.
All right. So what do you think? Home price is cooled, right? We're gonna see if you guys can figure out the next story. Mortgage rates went down, right? Home prices cooled. Just per se, what have you guess at what happened to mortgage applications? Home prices cooled, mortgage rates went down. What could possibly happen?
Do the transition. That was a good transition.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. I meant to hit the button, but it didn't hit. Sometimes I click on it. It just doesn't do anything.
I was waiting for it to happen.
Mortgage applications inch up. There you go.
Weird.
For the first time in 5 weeks. So total mortgage applications went up. Applications to refinance only went up 2%. Applications to purchase increased 1%. So we had an overall up and up. They inched up last week for the first time since June 24. Total mortgage demand increased 1.2% for an average 30-year fixed mortgage. Applications to refinance went up 2%. Applications to purchase a home were up 1%, but compared to last year, they were down 16%, which I think that's fair. I'm not surprised by that at all. The slight increases came as mortgage rates dropped 0.31 percentage points to 5.74 from 5.74 to 5.43. This quote is from Joel Kahn, Mortgage Bankers Associate Vice President of Economic and Industry Forecasting. Mortgage rates declined last week following another announcement of tighter monetary policy from the Federal Reserve with the likelihood of more hikes to come. Treasury yields dropped as a result as investors continue to expect weaker macroeconomic environment in the coming months. Lower mortgage rates combined with signs of more inventory coming on the market could lead to a rebound in purchase activity. And last week we talked about analysis that was looking at builder stocks, and he was basically saying the same thing. Like towards the end of the summer, end of the year, he expected there would be an increase in buyer activity, in part due to what he thought the rates were going to do, which he seems to be right so far, as well as the increase in inventory and the unsatisfied buyer demand. So all in all, it looks like that is starting to play out, just starting to play out. And here it is in August. We'll see if it keeps going that direction. Mike V, he said, in my humble opinion, inflation will be with us for a while. Recession won't solve, will only hurt supply. Probably see a dip in the next month because of energy cost reductions. Oh, interesting. But we'll pick back up later. Yeah. That could be it.
We got it. Matt's been on fire.
Dusty Martin said they jumped because summer vacation is ending. Wait, Matt has said a lot. I haven't.
He's telling Linda, good job.
Yeah. He said, when does my superfan shirt come in? I was on an airplane for a pop-up show. That's true.
On Monday. That's fair.
That's fair. And then
take a shot, because I think we mentioned inflation.
Yeah. Take another shot. Yeah.
And then
Matt is going to be drunk by the end of this.
And then Olivier, he asked Matt, do you want it in time for your 40th birthday on Monday?
Oh, yeah.
My question
Matt, are you only turning 40?
That's what I thought. You're only...
Thought it was at least like 46, 47.
How dare you?
I mean, I'm about to turn 49, and you should put us side by side. Look at the difference.
Yeah. I mean, look how much better Dan looks.
That beard.
Yeah, the beard hides a lot. It hides quite a bit. Just all the like loose neck and chin. Yeah, it hides a lot.
Speaking of revealing what's really happening, let's talk about in our stake. That's pretty good.
Love you, Matt.
All right, the real estate forecast: market to ease despite high home prices. All right, this is a little bit different from what we were talking about. They do say that there is hope for consumers. We're going to go through this one pretty quick. I want to get to the bottom where it kind of summarizes stuff, but there's a couple of good quotes from Lawrence Yun. He said they no longer have to make an offer after only seeing one house. They could see 3 or 4. It's returning to a normal process. That's true. We've seen that here locally. Closing activity will continue to sink even more. Some don't want to pay the higher monthly rates. Others can't. So he's talking about the exactly what's happened with the inventory is still downward and the rates are still roughly higher than what they were. But as we go to the bottom here, he says even after reductions, prices are still higher compared to a year ago, much higher compared before the pandy. And so he thinks that's what a lot of consumers are watching. We may be topping out on independent. We may be topping out independent of what the Fed will do. Rates will go a little up and a little down. It may be a good idea to lock in when rates are down.
That's great advice.
Not the most insightful
Thanks,
quote I could have pulled there. I could have pulled a better. Rates will go up or maybe down. Okay.
Yeah. But hey, Equifax is fine. We're good.
Yeah. As long as you get the numbers from Equifax, you're good.
We're good. Rates could go up, go down, lock whenever you want. It doesn't matter, but Equifax is fine. Okay. Just don't forget that.
Lawrence Yun's prediction says, finally, Yun predicted that in 2022, total home sales will be down 13% from the previous year. Home prices will be up 11%. And total dollar volume will be down 2%. Okay. For 2023, he predicted home sales, no increase of home sales, a 2% hike in price, and a 2% increase in dollar volume.
Are we going to hit the other article with his quote in it? Because it's the title of that was very interesting.
We'll go to that one after this one. So here's the current trends and market opportunities. This is from Jessica Lautz, Lautz, NAR's Vice President of Demographics and Behavioral Insight. This is really interesting. She said the median, here's the key findings from the June Realtors Confidence Index. Median days on market for homes nationwide hit a record low of 14. What? That's super low in June. The average number of offers per property dipped from 3 to a high of 5. Really? This is in June. Approximately 30% of buyers are waiving an inspection and appraisal contingencies. That number has held fairly steady since the start of the pandy. I figured that would be, I in my mind, in thinking about June data, that's not the direction I would have thought any of those would go. I thought there would be longer days on market. I thought there would be fewer multiple offer situations. I thought there would be fewer people waiving inspections and appraisals, but those are relatively unmoved.
I feel like this is an agent issue. Like, how is your agent not telling you, dude, they don't have any other offers? We can write a reasonable offer, maybe ask for some repairs, and keep all of our inspections intact. I feel like this is an agent issue. I mean, unless there's some markets out there, because again, like if it's the perfect property priced right, yes, it's still getting it's same thing. But that kind of frenzy on every single house, because more and more stuff is coming to the market. We're in normal, I mean, almost normal. We're still at only a 2 months of inventory, but still buyers are like, it's way more of a mellow market now. It's not a buyer's market. It's still a seller's market, but you can still ask.
It's a mellow seller's market.
Yeah. It's a
mellow seller. My new drink of choice, mellow seller.
That's a new drink coming from
I mean,
Real Estate, hosted by
somebody's got to make that graphic. Mellow seller. What's
mellow
the market?
seller.
Mellow seller.
It's a
you got to drink it. You got to get energized. Got to go see it.
Yeah, but it seems like that's an agent issue to me. To still have that 30% number, that seems high to me. 30% of all buyers are waiving their inspection. That seems high to me. I would put it on the agents too, that they're not. They're just getting their buyers out there going, no, let's go, and they're like, do I have to waive inspection? Yeah, you do.
There's your next class action lawsuit for the big real estate boxes.
You heard it
here. Right. You heard it here first. The share of all cash buyers currently stands at 25%. The number is actually decreased from a high of 35% in 20. What number am I going to say next? 20. You would think 2021? No, 2014. Yeah. So it's at 25%. Now, in my videos that I put on the Instagram recently, we were talking about how this market's going to change for buyers. And one of the things I said is that FHA buyers now have a chance, as proven by the drop in the number of cash offers that are currently happening. First time buyers are still being sidelined, make up 30% of the market. Historically, that's been 40%. So I think that's yet to come.
Yeah. I do have a literal ton of buyers right now that are all getting very soon, in my opinion, in my markets, buyers are going to be king. They're going to start in my opinion. Again, I work Southern California, and what I've seen, a lot of buyers coming out of the woodwork. And I think this news that I'm going to get out to all my buyer clients and all my buyer leads, I'm going to get that out there today. Hey, interest rates just dropped too. I'm going to do a mass text out to all of them. I'm going to let them all know today. You should do the same. I think it's going to,
Now we have quite a few people here in the clubhouse, and if y'all are experiencing something different than what this lady is talking about, that would be interesting. But she offered some touch points for us to look at as well. I just noticed there's like quite a few people here. If you are listening to us in Clubhouse, go up to that little greenhouse. Be sure you hit that greenhouse and make sure you're following the club. That way you can be notified of other great rooms just like this one. The Practical Tactical Room is Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Central. Same time, just different day. So be sure y'all tune in for that. I was sad I had to miss it yesterday. Justin Conoco's in the room. He's here.
He shared our show. You guys should all share our show as well. But
yeah. Share the show.
Jennifer S. Goodman on Clubhouse says, is the bottom of the market the seller's seller?
Is the bottom of the market this? Oh,
seller's seller.
I like it. Yeah. That's yeah.
They call me Mellow Seller.
All right. So I think there's probably, I see you guys sharing the show. I appreciate you sharing the show on Clubhouse. Thanks for sharing it on YouTube's and the Facebooks. We have a lot more people here than normal in Clubhouse through this stage of the show. And some would say it's due to the shares and due to the quality of the moderators that we have. But in reality, what I think it is this new sounder that we have. That's right. Stay tuned to This Week in Real Estate, hosted by the Bearded Men of Real Estate. Or news breaks, we fix it. So I think that's pretty much the reason why everyone's here, is to see that kind of thing. But let me get back to these 12 touch points. Sorry.
What kind of show is this?
Yeah. So 12% of buyers purchasing homes virtually. I think this is like good content for you guys. 12% of home buyers are purchasing homes virtually, and they want a realtor to assist with the process. Remote work continues to influence buying trends. 34% of buyers want features that enable them to work from home. I'm surprised that number's not higher. I think we all learned our lesson of what a pandy can do.
Yeah. The virtual purchases, that feels low to me. Is that?
That's what I was saying. The virtual purchases are at, what was it? 12%. Yeah.
12%. That seems
like coming out of the pandy, more people are going to actually go see it. Yeah. Is it a virtual purchase if somebody bought it through FaceTime but then saw it in person? I don't know. Consumers continue to have a skewed view of the typical amount required for down payment. 35% of buyers believe that you have to have 16 to 20%. 10% of buyers say they need a down payment of more than 20. Lenders, let's get out some information, right?
Let's go.
Let's do the thing. Partner with your local agent. See if y'all can spread the word. However, the typical down payment for the first home buyer is 6 to 7%. For repeat buyer, it's 17. There's value in promoting energy efficiency. 44% of realtors say that it's somewhat valuable, and 19% say it's very valuable for energy efficiency. 7 in 10 buyers, 70%, report a desire for the latest heating and cooling, windows and doors, insulation and lighting and appliances. However, the typical home purchased is 29 years old and unlikely to have the newest features.
Right.
So they all want it, but let's get real about the budget.
Yeah, unless the seller's upgraded, but then those upgrades are going to be part of the price.
Patrick Ellis said, is this a different category than the iBuyer program? Yes, buying a home virtually would be different. But, I don't know. If you bought through an iBuyer, is that a virtual purchase? Because they could be lumping all the iBuyer purchases into that stat as well. Good question.
Not if you saw the home. And I like your question is if I showed them the home on Zoom, if I zoomed you in, but then you were here for the inspection and stuff, did you buy it virtually? Because technically that would mean virtually you never saw the home until you move into it.
Right.
Until you get the keys. Let's
talk about a possible economic downturn and what Lawrence June says is going to happen. So this article is also on the magazine.realtors.
I love this headline.
Yoon, possible economic downturn likely to be mild.
Wait, so, I mean, how many times bring that back up again.
Okay.
This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-word headline. How many more times in a 7-line sentence can you be non-committal? Possible.
That is true.
Economic downturn, likely.
Downturn's kind of vague.
Mild. Like it's
That's a good point.
It might be an economic downturn, but I'm not committing to it. And it's likely not going to commit to this either. It's going to be mild, but it might not.
The definition of mild, like the definition of downturn, definition of mild, like basically the only sure word we have there are Yoon, economic. That is it. Strategery in brand, that's on brand for him because Yoon is an economist. All right, the country isn't officially in a recession yet. Wait, hold on. Despite 2 consecutive quarters of national contraction of the gross domestic product, commonly cited indicator for economic downturn. He's chief economist for the National Association of Realtors. Literal definition is 2 consecutive quarters of okay, whatever. The NAR is towing the line so that they can get some stuff done, like maybe going after Open Door, convincing the FTC to go after Open Door.
Something's
up. All right, so something's up. Job creation is robust. Total payroll were just over 150 million in the early 2020s before the onset of the pandemic, Yoon said at NAR's Real Estate Forecast Summit last week. While COVID-19, I said it. While the vid-19 shutdowns, created a steep decline in jobs. Each month has showed strong job creation afterwards. Commercial real estate's growing through the recession. Though the recession typically means bad news for commercial properties, the commercial market as a whole is flourishing despite stagnant office sector. So the stagnant office sector still seems to have not recovered from, everyone saying, well, I'm just going to work from home. So despite positive economic signs, falling home sales remain a concern. He says, quote, home sales are largely down because mortgage rates have risen sharply. If interest rates rise further, home sales will decline even more, even if there is no recession.
But
this is not the recession you were looking for.
Exactly. He's trying to Jedi mind trick you.
Yoon said, we still need workers. In an environment with rising mortgage rates, we will drive home sales. What will drive home sales is job. Let me reread that. Yoon said, we still need workers. In an environment with rising mortgage rates, what will drive home sales is jobs. But the jobs numbers alone they're about to go down. That's what happens because the money's going to contract. The money's going to get harder to get.
Well, we glossed over it, but Dusty, I got to give her a shout. She always has great comments, but she had a comment earlier. It's kind of pertinent now about she has local businesses in her area that have struggled, like me speaking right now, have struggled getting people to work there. And if that continues to happen, that's not going to, there you go.
Yeah. So that is true. Like full employment is actually considered 4 to 6%, depending on the administration really and how the news reports it. But that's full employment is 4 to 6%. And you always have around 4% that's still looking for a job.
Right.
But what's going to happen is this company that was currently struggling to find employees, they're going to say, well, you know what, with everything tightening up and the price on everything, we're actually paying more for our goods. We're paying more for our services. We're having to increase our prices. Instead of hiring those people, let's just not hire them for now. So you'll see the signs come out of the windows and they're going to stick with who they have and maybe work them a little bit harder, maybe try to find something that's a little more efficient to try to save some money because they're spending money in other ways. And that's traditionally what happens as the rates increase. Those who are thinking about expanding no longer expand. And I think that's probably more likely than us being too hurt by having too many possible jobs. All right. So We have another article. I'm gonna have to go through this one pretty quick because I got a hard out coming up. Hold, please. All right, this is just a little blip. It's exciting for me. I like this. Remote notarization is one step closer. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill on Wednesday evening to expand the availability of remote online notarization, or RON. I used to have a friend growing up named Ron who lived up the street. The key advocacy priority for the National Association of Realtors. It's the bipartisan Secure Notarization Act, and now goes to the Senate for consideration. And the way secure is it's all capitals, SECURE. That usually means something. So I'll have to figure out what that secure electronic certified, it's going to be something like that. Nearly half the states have expanded RON during the pandy, enabling real estate professionals to facilitate closing safely and securely. But because of patchwork of laws, agents in other states had to adapt drive-by closings, social distancing methods. Quote, realtors have always been leaders in technology in the real estate profession.
No, they haven't. That's ridiculous.
Wait. The caveat. Listen to the caveat. Realtors have always been leaders in technology in the real estate profession. Yeah, I mean, like, that's our profession.
Right. But even in our own profession, we don't lead in technology.
No, it's like saying that NASCAR has always been a leader in fast race car drivers in the NASCAR profession.
Or you're the best hitter in the 4 spot for the Toronto Blue Jays. Well, there's only one guy that hits in the 4 spot, and he's the best one at that. Yeah. But there's only one guy.
So NAR supported Ron even before the pandy, but now more than ever, this progress makes sense. All right, so I like this.
I'm wary about this, man. We just covered an article where someone lost 140 grand because Rex.
That's wire fraud, though. This is electronic notarization.
But isn't this? So this is like a notary.
Wait, hang on. Let's frame this for everyone.
Okay.
Ray, tech-enabled young buck, Dan,
Zoomer,
old Zoomer, afraid of technology.
Yes.
Never mind the fact that he used to design video games, but this is a guy on a droid. Do we need to say any more?
A 5-year-old droid, because I'm afraid to buy a new one.
You need to get the iPhone.
It's literally falling apart.
Everybody message Dan and say he needs to get the iPhone. All right,
so follow me on Instagram, Deloaded Rocks, and then message me there, please. It helps my retention. Anyway,
so your concern here is that the fraud that could happen from electronic notarizations and stuff.
And I'm sure we've all noticed, and this isn't just me, the old guy speaking.
Yeah, I think it may be.
No, we've all noticed. How many scam calls do you get a day now? How many scam emails do you get now? I mean, it's up. They're finding new and creative ways. It's still, yes, I am technologically driven. I get that, but
you're a tech-enabled agent.
I am a tech-enabled agent. I'm actually pretty good with this stuff, but I'm hesitant to this stuff because the notary goes there physically, gets your thumbprint, sees that you're you, checks your license, and then signs a thing. What?
We don't do a thumbprint. You'll do a thumbprint?
Yeah.
Well, y'all should just sign in blood.
That's fine with
me.
me.
The thumbprint and the signatures included, and the data from. You could just pull the DNA and know that that's the real person.
Let's just start notarizing with NFTs. How about that?
I mean, that's probably where everything's headed, actually. So I like this because I've had several situations in which people were traveling. We've had to mail documents, and then in the midst of their travels, they had to stop what they were doing and find a notary somewhere in Mexico that could notarize this thing. In Mexico, it would be just so much faster if they could do a Zoom call and the person like watches them sign it and then they receive it.
Yeah, that's not pre-recorded or anything. You can't hack Zoom. You can't do any of that. I don't know, man.
You can hack Zoom, actually. Yeah,
I know. We've done it.
That's a good point. I don't know. I'm for it. Mia's in the house. She's a tech-enabled agent. What do you think of remote online notarization, Mia? Oh, she may not be here with us. I tried.
Okay, so
actually, I am.
She is here.
I am. So what do I think of it? There could be a lot of fraud.
See?
Think so?
I thought you'd be for it.
What kind of fraud is this?
Why? Why do you think I would be for it?
Because you're so tech enabled. You do all the lives and all that kind of stuff on your Instagram. And
do you know how many hours it takes me? Ask Derek, ask everybody. I never did anything for until last year in Reed. But now it isn't that I'm tech enabled. There's whatever generation my children like they don't call up and get something. They text it in. It's like I can't. But I'm afraid of the fraud. But when we have closings and they send them away and it's okay to email them, then why can't they just email them back instead of overnighting them? Is that the notary?
Yeah, I guess that's because they want the wet signature and the notarized stamp on it.
Right.
I think it's the stamp that you can feel and touch. Patrick Ellis said he said it would look really, quote, official if the fraud had a notary stamp on it. Melissa Mars said recently the one lender I used often started doing a hybrid closing packages. Buyers can do half of their closing docs online within 24 hours of closing. That does save some time because you show up at the closing, there's like a whole bunch of paper. And then, sometimes to do these mail out closings, you got to mail all that paper and the person signs it and then they have to mail it back. And those delays and things, things can get lost in the mail. Somebody could do some fraud that way too.
The mobile notary prints it and then they get it signed and notarize it and then they mail it back in the next day.
Yeah, but it still has caused issues with people traveling the world. I haven't had very many like that, but I've had a couple like that recently.
Yeah. Okay. But guys, there is a I can't think of the name, but it's a coin. What do you call it?
Bitcoin? It's a crypto?
No, it's not. It's not Bitcoin, but it's I can't think straight. But anyway, they can send money in like a half a second.
Yeah, that's the cryptocurrencies and such.
Right. Yes, it's crypto. Something Lumen.
I knew. It's a Litecoin, Lumen coin. I knew you were tech enabled, Mia.
Ha ha ha. But
Ray, don't fall for that sandbagging.
I know, right?
You.
We can get this done. I've had money held up at the Federal Reserve because their what do you call it? Machinery, their
the mint
computers didn't work 3 times, and then nobody checked it.
That's interesting. Yeah, Mia was taking out such a deposit that they were actually having to print more money up at the Fed, and they were holding it for her. Well, thanks for joining, Mia. Yeah. And we do have a special announcement that Matt says back to my shirt. I don't know about this.
So one more thing. I just want to say, I love that I can, because I have a seller right now that I met with the seller and she's like, oh, by the way, my daughter's also Untitled. And I went, oh, cool. So she signed the contract and then I sent it over for electronic signatures to the daughter. She's signed now. Good. Right. So I was a big fan of that. And then all the way, because it's tough.
Well, how do you know? Did you watch the daughter sign it and click it?
No, it was me that signed it. I just used her email address.
Oh, so I actually know an agent that was caught. He had to get some signatures to finish up a file. He forgot that the broker could go in and see the certificate of authenticity.
Oh, no.
And saw that he had sent these documents to himself for part of the broker signature and part of bad news.
Yeah, by the way, guys, don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah, that's bad.
You can see the transaction. Anyway, so I was a fan of that because it's, when you got to get an offer in quick, okay, you're at work. I got to go get this signed. I got to go get it physically signed. I'm a fan of all that. But at the end, like everything's got to be, you got that.
But sometimes that's rushed too. Sometimes buyers or sellers are being a jerk. Like, hey, if you don't close today, we're not closing. I got an offer right now, $50,000 more than what you're going to pay. And if you can't get these documents signed, if you guys can't figure out how to get over there and mail them back so that I can get my money today, then we're not closing. And
I get all that. I totally get all that. I just think it's it's opening up a can is my point. So I apologize for disagreeing with you, Ray, but
I think everyone here can agree that you're wrong.
I'll take that. I'll bear that burden.
There you go. All right. So thanks everybody for joining us. Let me make one special announcement. This is a surprise for Dan. He hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
We have a new YouTube channel. And it's not live yet. It will be live after this show. We're going to start posting things on there. But it is our highlights channel, and you could call it a Chops channel. So I had some special artwork made for our Chops channel. You guys know the old logo that we had that was the bearded logo.
Yeah, usually I'm wearing it, but
right. We had a special one made for the Chops that didn't have the it was chopped like that.
Yeah.
All right, so here's our new Chops logo. How can I do it and show us on the screen? I want to see your reaction. Well,
just do it like an article.
Yeah. I'll share. Hang on. I'll share my screen. I'm going to do it that way. I had it up as a graphic, but if you put it on a graphic, then no one can see your reaction to it.
Oh
wait. Nope. Wrong one. Remove and bear with me.
Mm-hmm. You have the right to bear with me.
Share screen window tab. There it is. Here we are. And bam.
Hey! So good.
It is This Week in Real Estate's highlights channel. It's called T-Wire Chops, TWIRECHOPS. And if you look closely at the graphics, this is the full YouTube graphic. So
I mean,
you're not going to see the full YouTube graphic unless you're on a small selection of YouTube channels, but will see our faces halved, just like it is on the podcast album cover. But we have chops now, so you can see our chins.
Our actual chins.
You can see our actual chins. It's a faux chin, and my chin does not look like that, but it works. It works for what we're trying to.
Mine is more of a beard because it goes through. Technically, Ray's is a mustache with chops. Technically,
yeah. I told him to make mine clean shaven and make yours scruffy.
Yeah.
I think you did good. It's good work.
I think it's great. That's fantastic.
So there you go. Be More Chops.
Yeah.
So the actually T-Wire Chops, it used to be called Be More Chops. So that's going to be out. What we're going to do is take each one of these articles and then release them as their own thing. If you love watching the live show, we encourage you to continue to watch the live show. Be sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified of the live show. But if you can't catch the live show for whatever reason and you don't have an hour to spend watching it, then all you have to do is go to the Chops channel. We will have the headlines there. Everything that we cover here will be covered there. There's going to be some small stories that we're not going to chop. Like we may not chop the notary story, but you can bet that we're going to chop the open door. We're going to chop that again. We'll chop all that stuff. So Matt Lamar said, Dan looks like he's at least 50 with a chin.
I'm almost 49, so that's close enough. That's not really an insult. That makes me feel good that I'm only 48 without my chin.
There you go. Olivier calls us sexy. Melissa Mara loves it. Mike loves it. So thank you guys. Thanks for that. And if you missed that and you're on if you're on the Clubhouse, don't worry about it. You can you'll check it out on. I'll have links and all that stuff next week for you because we'll have several videos on there by then. So
we do actually have chins.
Yeah. But thank you guys for joining us. I have a heart out, so I got to go pretty quick. You can find me on Instagram at Ray Zorback. That's RayZorback. Dan Ludwig, would you tell people where they can find you, please?
Yeah, over on Instagram. Go find me on Instagram. And I want you to go watch my Stop the Realtor Hate Reel, please, because I think it's at close to 11,000 views now. 10,500. Yeah, it's up there.
Those are funny.
DLUDWIGROCKS. I have a lot of other funny ideas that I'll be putting out there. I ran one by Ray yesterday, the day before. It's not going to fly. We decided it's not a good idea.
I love the idea.
It's a great idea.
Will you be brought up for fair housing charges? Yes.
100%.
Is it funny for a comedian to do something exactly like that and have no consequence? Yes.
Right.
For a real estate agent? No, you can't do that.
Yeah, because I am a comedian. I just happen to hold a real estate license, so I can't do that. But anyway,
hysterical.
There'll be more stuff. And Matt, we will send you a shirt. Now, here's a caveat. It's going to be an extra small, but you get it, buddy. It's all you.
He likes smalls like that.
It's all you, buddy.
Schmedium. All right, guys. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for joining. Bye.